It's time now for Coach's Corner with Heck and King, and we're always looking for some more show sponsors. If you or somebody you know has a business to promote, you can email John at broadcastsport.net to get info on how to become a sponsor. We're now on Instagram with all the cool kids at IND Coach's Corner. If you missed the live show, catch us on demand on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and always here on broadcastsport.net. The show links can be found at linktree.com, Coach's Corner. It's time now for Coach's Corner with Heck and King.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to be entertained by the Black Sedan Band. And I'm yours truly, Hoss Carl on the mic. I guarantee you, if you want to dance, we don't mind you doing it. We're going to have a good time. Hey, well, I'm the friendly stranger in the Black Sedan. I want you to hop inside my car. I got pictures standing of a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere you want to go. I'm your vehicle, woman. And by now, I'm sure you know that I love you. I need you. I want you, got to have your child.
I say it all the time to my wife. I love you, baby. I need you. I want you. You're my vehicle. She looks at me and laughs. I'm trying to be really nice,
I'm
man.
trying not to look at you.
I'm trying to be really nice, and she looks at me and she goes, she laughs.
It doesn't pay, does it?
She laughs, man. I got the General Lee King to my right, and I'm Ron Hecklinski. John Overman is spinning the dials, as he always does. He's the best in the business, isn't he?
John does a great job. We've had a long weekend, that's for sure.
No, games everywhere, man.
Sure, yep. It's basketball season. Basketball tourney time. High schools and college.
I mean, I don't think there's a better time. As a matter of fact, if I needed a vasectomy, I might get one this weekend.
Oh, I forgot those commercials.
But I don't even need a vasectomy.
I don't know. How about the Overmeyer family? You're way past that, aren't we?
I mean,
we're way past that. Yeah, we're way past that.
I'm thinking of getting one just to get one. To get a bag of peas, a bag of cold peas, watch every game, man.
I'm kind of looking forward to the Capital One commercials with Spike Lee and Barkley and the boys, and see what kind of new ones they have.
There is a great one.
Those are fun ones.
There is a great one, but so hey, we're going to start this show. This is a great show tonight. We have a lot of hoops to talk about. I know Pat has done a lot of research. He's the king of research. He's great at it. We have a lot of scores, a lot of different scenarios. We have some brackets maybe to fill in a little bit. But as you can tell, I'm wearing my Chi-Town Bear hoodie today because I want to open this up. About some Chicago Bear info.
It's basketball season, but yet exhibition baseball, no. We're going Bears in the draft.
I'm still thinking about that vasectomy line.
I'm going to stay over here.
Okay.
It's safe over here.
But, all right, so listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. The Bears pull off a trade. Bears pull off a trade last Friday. The Bears had the number one pick by the fact that they were the worst team in the NFL. Their ex-coach, Lovie Smith was the head coach of the Texans.
They need to put a statue of him up
in Chicago. Outside of Soldier Field. But the last game of the regular season, the Texans had the number one pick. Lovie went for two, had the best play ever that's ever been created. He gets the two-point conversion. The Bears lose, the Texans win. They trade positions. The Bears get the number one pick. So all the speculation in Chicago and really with all the talking heads everywhere was the Bears don't need a quarterback. So Justin Fields made progress, and they're thinking that Justin Fields might be the guy. So the Bears didn't need the number one pick.
So this trade kind of solidifies that thought.
Yeah, and I think the trade is great because the Bears need more than one player. The Bears need a ton of players. NFL free agency started today, and the Bears signed three pretty good players, to be honest with you. But so Friday,
who did they trade with?
They traded with the Carolina Panthers. Carolina was 9. Frank Reich, who was the head coach at Indianapolis, got unceremoniously fired by Jim Irsay.
And they've already started. I read something about that's funny that Frank Reich has the number one pick to take a quarterback, and they're afraid that it may be a quarterback that the Colts want.
Well, the Colts are at number 4, so it really doesn't matter. The Texans.
And would the Colts have traded for that?
Well, here is the deal. Go ahead and ask me that question.
Would the Colts have traded for that number
we'll
one spot?
We'll never know
because you were talking about that 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Because the Bears went to the Colts, the Bears went to other teams, and they said, we're not playing around. So give me your deal. Because I want to get this done before free agency starts, because then we'll know what we got to do in free agency. So obviously the Colts deal wasn't the deal that they got from Carolina. The deal they got from Carolina was they got Carolina's number 1 pick this year, which is number 9.
Okay.
They got Carolina's second-round pick this year, which is number 61. They got Carolina's first-round pick next year. They got Carolina's second-round pick the following year. Carolina wanted to give them their first-round pick in 2025, but the Bears said nope. They said, in place of that pick, we'll take your number 1 wide receiver, DJ Moore.
They took a player
he's a number 1. He's
their number 1,
and he would automatically be the Bears' number 1 receiver. So many of the pundits would say that the Bears fleeced Carolina, and obviously I think they did, because Carolina wants that quarterback. Now, the quarterback that everybody's saying that Carolina wants is C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, who had a great NFL combine, threw the ball well, has great size, and the knock on Bryce Young is he doesn't have the size. I think he measured maybe 5'9" and 3/4, 205 pounds, but. So, Drew Brees was what? Drew Brees was 5'9", 5'8", 5'10".
He wasn't very tall.
No, and Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer. So you can take those measurables, and sometimes they're valid, and sometimes they're not valid, because I think Bryce Young is a very good quarterback. So you're talking about the Colts. Carolina's got number 1. So they're going to take a quarterback. They're going to take probably C.J. Stroud.
The Ohio State quarterback or the Alabama quarterback.
And Houston's taking the Alabama quarterback. Carolina is going to take the edge rusher from Alabama, Williams. Now here's the Colts. The Colts got 2 quarterbacks to pick from, either Levi from Kentucky, or the great guy with all the measurables, but was the starting quarterback at the University of Florida and won 6 games. Won 6 games. So you tell me, are those franchise quarterbacks? I don't know. The guy from Kentucky has all the measurables. 6'5", he's got a gun, he's got a cannon.
And he showed it off at the combine.
Yes, but he wasn't in a national championship game. The guy from Florida, like I said, won 6 games. So I don't know. Seattle's got the 5th pick. The Lions got the 6th pick. The Lions are a team on the move, man.
I think so.
In the Central Division, the Lions are a team on the move.
But they'll probably pick a wide receiver.
Well, no,
my luck.
They do one every year, but they got a quarterback. Jared Goff is a really good quarterback. The Raiders just signed today Jimmy Garoppolo. So they have their quarterback.
That's new information. Okay.
They lost Derek Carr. Derek Carr just signed with the Saints.
The Saints last week, right?
And then the 8th pick is the Falcons. Who cares? And the 9th pick are the Bears.
And by then we'll be heading for a commercial. And and we might come back. We might change the channel.
So here's another thought. Okay, because the great Scott King is in the audience.
Yes. Junior's here.
So I hear this. I think the Bears are going to trade back to number 11 because Tennessee wants somebody at 9. The Bears are going to get Tennessee's 2nd-round pick, which is like 40, and Tennessee's 3rd-round pick. And whoever the Bears were going to get at 9, they can get at 11. So Ryan Pohl's doing a pretty good job for our Chi-Town Bears.
They're moving and shaking, that's for
our
sure.
Our Chi-Town Bears, we've signed Tremaine Edmonds today, inside linebacker from the Bills, T.J. Edwards, outside linebacker from the Eagles, and Nate Davis, a guard. And I want to say maybe maybe not the Seahawks, but a really, really, really good offensive lineman. And
now, if Scott was going to talk anything, he might have some information on the Colts, simply because he lives down in that neighborhood.
well, I mean, the Colts haven't signed anybody
They
yet.
haven't signed anybody. They're just keeping things tight.
Tennis? No, I'm sorry. What is the matter with me? I mean, your daughter lives in Nashville.
She lives in
I
Nashville.
knew Nate Davis played for Tennessee.
Okay.
Because her and I were talking when I was trying to order a quilt. I said, who's the best lineman that you guys got? She said, Nate Davis.
Well, she might have.
I said, that's the guy we're getting.
She's a wealth of information.
Well, no, so she would know anything about baseball because her husband is a baseball guy, right?
She'll tell you about baseball right now, and her brother-in-law just resigned or retired from pitching for the Royals. So they're all into baseball right now.
Hey, John, why don't you give our listeners an opportunity to have our contact information? And I know we got 4 questions that we're going to get into a little bit later.
No, we just had one just submitted no more than 2 minutes ago.
Good.
And I know what the question was. Where's Nate Davis at?
Wrong.
We know that. But no, here's the question. Somebody from Colorado again, and they're going to rub it in that the Broncos signed Mike McGlinchey from the 49ers. And you know what we're going to say? What are you doing calling us? Get on the slopes and
Back on the ski slopes. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
if you guys want to ask a question to these 2 guys, you can always use the box. Box, guys.
Box.
Hello.
Yeah, we got a box.
Got a little box. You can do
Well,
that.
Pat and I are going to box up here for a
No,
minute.
that'll be fun.
Keep talking some of that crazy stuff about the Bears, and we might.
No, that's not what you wanted to box about the vasectomy. I know the vasectomy. You wanted
I'm
to hit
keeping
me.
my hands are above the table.
You can also email John at broadcastsport.net, or you can text in a question to 574-366-2488. Those are the ways that you can hit us up. We did have a question that was just submitted a little while ago, and it's a food question that we will save for a little bit later on in the show.
Do we want to do a question now?
Yeah, let's do the food question.
Well, as you guys know, being in the media that we all have hospitality rooms usually where we go
We're going to rate the hospitality rooms?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, the question comes, I'm not sure who this is from, says, what's the better tourney meal, pizza or a steak sandwich?
Like a pregame meal? Or for us in our
It doesn't
The
say.
hospitality meal.
hospitality meal?
Well, you know what? Answer it both ways. Pre-game meal if you were a coach, and a hospitality meal now that you're a part of the media. Do it that way.
Go ahead,
is not
Coach.
golden here, fellas.
the pizza's a pasta. I would eat that. If I was going to eat pizza, it would have to be 3 to 4 hours before the game. A steak would be the night before for me. I wouldn't dare get a steak in front of me 3 or 4 hours before a game. That would be disaster.
Well,
I would disappear around second or third quarter, and maybe not come back and miss a whole quarter for that one.
I'm going to say this much. I'm going to leave it at this. I don't feed my guys unless they win. If they win, then I'm going to give them a post-game meal, whatever they want, if they win. But before, the pasta before, obviously, any kind of pasta.
When at Mishawaka, you guys had pregame at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And
Yes.
it was always some sort of pasta.
Yes,
Pasta,
yes.
spaghetti. I mean, we used to eat pasta and spaghetti at 8 in the morning for a noon ball game in college, and that was 40 years ago.
Well, my brother-in-law used to coach cross country for a number of years. And the night before a big meet, they would have like a pasta party and eat a lot because of the carbs to give them energy to run the next day.
The science part of that's the difference between your simple carbohydrates and your complex carbohydrates. We learned all that. Like the wrestlers will tell you that real quick.
Well, I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm a simple carbohydrate,
Well,
all right?
then you're doing
I'm a PE teacher.
You're doing the peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah,
you're doing
exactly.
peanut butter and honey at 8:30, right after the 8 o'clock weigh-in, so you can wrestle at 9.
All right, so now let's take it from a hospitality
jumper
room.
cables. Hospitality.
Hospitality rooms.
You saw Michigan City's.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a nice one.
Oh, boy, do they ever.
We've been to Elkhart a couple of times. Theirs is nice. South Bend, Washington. We were there this last weekend. They had. I tell you, they fed us well.
So does Jimtown.
Jimtown fed us well. I would say around here, Penn probably has the best one because it's every home game, and they have it catered in by a different business.
Correct.
Where a lot of these schools will have the home ec departments, and that food's top notch. When they have the home ec departments come in and help out with the food. I know Elkhart does that. When I was down in Peru, Logan Sport used to do that too with their hospitality room. They'd have the home ec department do things, and it was a meal. It was nice. That's my hospitality ratings. How's that?
Okay, give me your hospitality room in Madison, Indiana, so I can cough. All right.
I'm trying to think what it was. We never even hosted anything. Our hospitality was the parents made box lunches for us for the road trips. That's about all I can tell you. I don't think we had a host. Now, I think they now host a county tourney that goes across the river into Trimble County and stuff like that around Christmas. And they have it at either Southwestern or Madison. But I haven't been there for hospitality, so really I don't have anything to compare it to.
So I did the sectional at LaPorte, and LaPorte had meatballs. And I mean, these meatballs were amazing. I probably had about 12 before the game, and my broadcast partner, Brian Miller. So
you guys
Brian
are chasing them because that was a topic like in the third quarter, one of the games that I listened to.
Okay,
on the way home.
so Brian's got a plate, and they're sitting right next to him, and he's not eating them. And throughout the whole game, I'm eyeballing those meatballs. Finally, in the third quarter, I say, Brian, you better eat those meatballs or I'm jumping over you during this broadcast, and I'm taking them.
The next time out, they're disappearing.
I'm taking them.
Well, that's why we do that with the cookies at Elkhart. We'd bring 4 or 5 of them with us, and Dale and I'd sit there and stare at them, and we'd take pieces of them during the timeouts and stuff. So you got another question?
We could do another.
Let's hit another question, and we need to probably get busy on some basketball.
We need to do basketball.
We'll stick with the basketball here. How should the IHSA determine sites for semi-state? There's a lot of talk about some of the gyms that were, the great cathedrals that we're using this weekend, but there's a lot of mileage being traveled. How do you think the IHSA should determine sites the way they're doing it right now?
I think they do need to make some changes. Right now, my biggest topic is, in the old days, like when Ron and I were in school, you had one class. So you had a semistate at Fort Wayne, you had one at Lafayette or Purdue back then, you had one at Hinkle, and you had one at Evansville. And then like the Evansville one started bouncing back and forth between Evansville, Terre Haute. The Fort Wayne one bounced back and forth between there and Notre Dame. Well, now you basically got, with the class system, you have to split it in half. So draw a line north and south, get them off the borders. Unfortunately, Elkhart and Michigan City, too much travel. That'd be like being at Jeffersonville and Evansville, down on the river. So get them back up in the middle. So my proposal for the north would be somewhere in the middle. Let's say pick 4: Huntington, Marion, Kokomo, Lafayette, Logansport. Maybe 4 of those 5 right there in the middle, where everybody's got maybe an hour and a half to them, like they're the middle of a spoke on a wheel. In the south, Shelbyville, Columbus, Seymour. Pick one more, Washington, which is it's west and it's kind of hard to get to, but maybe Southport because of your Indianapolis school. So there's 5. Pick 4 of them, but get off the edges. Don't go to Terre Haute. Don't go to Richmond. Don't go to New Albany or Jeffersonville. Big gyms, Elkhart, huge gym, but somebody's got a long ways to travel. Get them in the middle someplace would be my suggestion.
Just to expound upon that a little bit more, Michigan City in 4A, Newcastle in 4A, Elkhart in 3A, Seymour in 3A, which is a great gym. Logansport in 2A.
And see, I don't like Logansport.
Well, and I don't see. I don't see the allure of Logansport.
I don't like the Berry Bowl. I'd rather be at Marion or Kokomo.
Yeah, I don't see any.
And you
I don't
were
see
in the
any
North
reason
Central
about
Conference for a long time. I'd rather be Lafayette. I'd put Logan at the bottom of that listing. I'd go to Huntington.
So Southport, which you mentioned, Lafayette, Jeff, which you mentioned, and the Hatchet House in Washington.
Columbus North is a big old gym too, and it's right on 65.
So the one I would take off obviously is Logansport, but you never know. I mean, there might be a board member that has ties to Logansport. You don't know. I mean, you don't know the inner workings of any of that stuff.
But logistically, if you're just a neutral like we are trying to be, that would be my suggestion.
So let's get into the Saturday regionals, man.
Okay.
Let's start at Class 4A at Michigan City. You had Penn and Chesterton, Hammond Central against Mishawaka. John, you did those games. Talk about those games a little bit.
Those are both very entertaining games. Chesterton got off to a quick start against Penn and kind of set the tempo. They played more half court. They weren't going to let Penn get out and run. But in the third quarter, Marcus Burton and the rest of his gang decided, I think it's time to play, and they kind of pulled away in the end. Great game, though, by Chesterton, giving Penn everything they wanted as Penn won by 13. The second game was very interesting. It was kind of a tale of two different halves. Hammond Central came out on fire. They pressed. Mishawaka turned the ball over 9 times in the first quarter. And all of a sudden, they're down double digits because they couldn't handle the pressure. And a young man from Hammond Central came off the bench, was lighting it up from 3. But then in the second half, some adjustments were made, obviously, by Coach Bender, and they held Hammond Central scoreless in the third quarter, but obviously ran out of gas in the fourth. But both really good games with Penn and Hammond Central winning, setting up a number 2 versus number 3 on Saturday in the second semifinal at Michigan City in the semi-state.
Holding a team scoreless, especially when you get to that level of play, that's a team that was like 25-1.
Yeah, they've only lost one game, and I think that was to
Whitney Young out of Chicago.
Yeah, so they haven't even lost to an Indiana team.
And to hold them scoreless is a tremendous feat. And I think you made a great comment. Sometimes when you're trying to erase a 20-point lead, you get it down to 6. And then, all the energy that you used up trying to get that or erase that lead, now you got no more juice to finish that. That's kind of what happened to Mishawaka, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, they spent so much energy in that third quarter erasing this 20-point lead. They got it down to 4, but then you could just kind of tell that they were starting to run out of juice, and Hammond Central obviously got going out in transition and then pulled away and won the game. But it was a good game.
Well, the other half of that then over at the other part of the regional, you had Fort Wayne and Noblesville, and then Kokomo and Fort Wayne Northside. And I was surprised that Wayne beat Noblesville. I thought Noblesville would win that game, but Wayne beat them 62-60, and Kokomo just keeps getting better. Don't be surprised if Kokomo's not in the state finals.
Well, so any time that you can put a player on the floor, how big is the kid at Kokomo?
Badunga's 6'10", 6'11".
And he had a lot of foul trouble in that game. He was sitting early in the second quarter with fouls and sat most of the second quarter, and Kokomo was able to actually extend their lead a little bit. Right. So, obviously, Kokomo, all the talk is about Bagunda being 6'10" and all this, but he got in foul trouble. His teammates picked him up. So they are going to be a dangerous
out. That's kind of how Purdue, remember, Edie was on the bench for a while this weekend, and they stretched the lead out, and then he came back in the game, and they caught up.
Well, anytime you can put a player in a tournament in a big arena like that, and he's 6'10", and he can get you easy baskets.
Oh, sure.
And when you're playing in those venues that are bigger venues, sometimes those are harder to shoot in. But anytime you can get easy baskets like that,
inside the paint, and from what I've seen tape on him, he kind of reminds me of Olajuwon back when he was playing in the 80s. He can run the floor. He's not as stiff. He's more, if you want to compare what we've seen, he's more of a Trace Jackson Davis than he is an Edie, if you want to think, if that makes any sense to you. He can run the floor. He can handle the ball at 6'10", where he's more of a 4-man than he is a 5.
Trace Jackson Davis, I think at the next level could be a combo 3-4.
He's not going to be a 5-man.
Because he can handle, he can make that shot.
And that's the thing in college, and we're jumping but he's playing out of position because he's not a post player.
So then we go to Southport. Brownsburg beats New Pal and beats them soundly, 66-39. And obviously, Brownsburg is a really good basketball team. Steve Lynch,
he runs that 1-3-1 zone, and people can't handle it.
Steve Lynch is a product of Manchester College, by the way.
Yes, well, he was
Manchester
over there.
College, hail to the black and gold, hail to victory.
We came in back and
you were an assistant coach of Manchester.
He was over there with Alford.
Yes.
And then when Alford left, I came in with Hunsaker right behind him. So we were like back to back.
So do you know the school song that I just sang?
No. That's as much as I need to know.
Wait till I call the president of Manchester. Say, one of your coaches didn't know the school song.
For what they paid me, I didn't have to know the song.
No, Steve Lynch was really a good guy.
Steve's a great guy.
He's a great guy, and they put it on Brownsburg.
Matter of fact, he almost bought a car from my dad because looking for his daughter back about 4 or 5 years ago.
And we digress.
I know. There we go.
But-
Jennings County.
No. What about Ben Davis? Ben Davis, the best team in the state. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, undefeated.
They are. They had to. Cathedral was a good challenge for them. They beat them 10. Matter of fact, I think Cathedral was ahead at halftime, and Ben Davis, just took care of business in the second half. But right now, they're undefeated. Who's the last undefeated team? I think they said was Connolly and Odin.
It was Odin's team, yeah.
Yeah, and that's been how long, Scott King?
That's been about 2000.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, 2003, 4 maybe. Yep.
Yeah, well, I remember. Yeah, it had to be because we actually played Carmel. That's one of my stories too. Galloway's at Carmel.
Go with it. Go with it. I'm listening.
My poor little South Bend Adams team. For some reason, we had an opening. We go to Carmel and play. They've got Josh McRoberts.
So let me ask you this question: was that Bill Groves that scheduled that game?
No. That was on
you?
me. That was
Okay.
on me. I have no one to blame. It was my big chance to go to Indianapolis, take my kids to Indianapolis. Which I wanted to do.
Anytime you want to go to Indy, let me know. Me and you can go to
just
Indy. We don't have to go play
Here's
Carmel.
how sad it was. The year before, we had played Indianapolis-Arlington when they had Delco Raleigh who went to Michigan State. So, yeah, what was I thinking? But we got it down there. So Galloway's, we trade tapes. Hey, coach, you want to trade tapes? So I sent him a couple tapes. I sent him whatever we played the week before. So he sends me a tape. He sends me Lawrence North and Carmel. Okay, now how am I going to watch Lawrence North and Carmel? They've got Connolly and Odin against McRoberts, 7 foot, 6'10", All-American guard for them. Okay, I couldn't relate to that. He needed to send me something like playing Cecina or somebody like that.
But I guess the bottom line is you should have said, hey, can you send me this game?
I knew
it
didn't make any difference.
You were so keyed up to go to Indy.
It didn't make any difference.
Hey, we're going to Indy from South Bend.
Yeah, we got to go to Carmel, so we brought them down. Anyway, I'm sorry.
That's funny. So anyway, Jennings County beats Wrights, Bloomington North. So really the guard's kind of changing now down in Bloomington because J.R. Holmes has had his way at Bloomington South for such a long time. Now Bloomington North's kind of
they've got some
playing
players.
really well.
Yes.
And they beat Columbus by 2. So you got Jennings County and Bloomington North coming out of there. Now we go to a regional in 3A that you're familiar with, that you worked on Saturday. Talk about that.
We did.
That the regional at the Great. So how did they come up with the name the Great Western Forum?
Because it's on the west side of town, and they're still stealing stuff, I'm sure, from the Lakers.
All right.
That's the best I've got. That's all I can think. But I did see Northwood, number 1 right now, played Lake Station. And we knew Lake Station had some success, but we just didn't know what their competition was. We looked at their schedule, and a lot of it was 2A and 3A teams compared to Northwood, who'd played some pretty good people. And it was as we suspected, 17-5 at the quarter, 31-11, and it just got worse. I tell you, Ian Roush had 15. Brenner's good. He had 31.
He's a
6'3", and John, you can probably help me, but Daryl knows this more than I do, but they've got several kids. One's going to Grace. One's going to maybe St. Francis. Yep. They've got some good, solid NAIA players that are going to do well here in the next couple of years.
Well, so they always say
6'8". The sophomore Roush is 6'8", and his brother's 6'6". They had one had 31, the other had 10, and then they had another guy had 15.
So they always say that the NLC league is a crossroads league.
Yeah, sure it is.
Because I think Brenner's going to Huntington. Roush might be going to Grace. The kid from Warsaw who hurt his shoulder, he's going to one of those crossroads leagues teams too. So I think that NLC and the Crossroads Conference are in partnership.
And Lake Central, the Gonzalez kid, 5'9", little guard, was averaging almost 18 a game. But he was like 2 for 12 shooting threes. He get in the lane and just got swallowed up by those big people. But as a team, they were 2 of 28 from threes.
Yeah, you can't win.
You can't win a game doing that. That's why it ended up being a 30-point game. The second game was a great game. John Glenn and Washington, a rematch from back in December, and everybody thought it was going to be a good game, and it came down to the last plays. John Glenn,
Chaparelli.
Chaparelli. I can't say his name yet. I apologize for that. tell you, the kid can shoot. So I'm going to have to learn his name because we're going to
Chaparrilli.
I want to make sure you have it right for this weekend.
I'm going to have to get my pronunciations right this week. He was more than number 11. I tried, and Dale bailed me out. 19 points, made a huge three.
Late in the game,
Late in the game, Northwood led by 6 or 8. Washington put a run on him, actually took the lead with just inside a minute, and everybody's going, oh, boy, here we go. It was a 1-point game inside a minute, and Dale and I both said to each other, they've got to – John Glenn has to score this possession or the game's over. I mean, it was that quick. They threw the ball inside to Hannah. They collapsed on Hannah. It was not organized. They just kamikazed him with 3 people left our boy out in the corner wide open. Chaparrilli, thank you for filling that in.
Get it right, Coach.
Drained a 3, bam, with like 6 or 8 seconds left in the game. They go down the floor. They get a shot. They miss. They foul Hannah. He's at the foul line with like 2 seconds left. He makes both free throws. The game's over. They win by 4. I mean, it was that good of a finish.
What kind of crowd did they have at the Great Western Forum?
Both games were full. Northwood brought a huge crowd, and Lake Station brought a good crowd. John Glenn and Washington both had good crowds. They emptied the gym. They said, and they told the people it worked out really well. The 2 teams playing got downstairs early. Later, people got upstairs. And then the people that were downstairs for game, they said, okay, if you want to stay for game 2, please move up to the balcony so the cheering sections can have the lower section. It worked out great. And, we had a good 45 minutes in between games, so it was an easy, smooth transition. The lines were clear out to the street waiting to get in, but people got in easily. They were doing the digital wallets to get in. There was no cash involved with that, and it worked out really well. So it was a good day at Washington for them. And with all the issues they've had over there, with the 2 different fights. They had the fight with the Height-Riley game, and then last Thursday they had a huge fight over at Navarre for the middle school girls, and every police car in the world was over there. So 2 days later, there was huge police presence at the game, but they weren't needed. They were they ended up in the hospitality room checking things out in there.
So South Bend, Washington represented the city well.
The game went well. So whatever fears people had were unfounded. So it was a very good day for South Bend, Washington, even though they lost. Put on a good show, and Northwood and John Glenn.
Northwood's the real deal, right?
Yeah, they're the real deal. And who knows? You can guess all you want whether John Glenn and Northwood have a chance to play for that night game. For the local people, they're thrilled to death because they're going to have a local team down in Indianapolis maybe.
So over at Newcastle, Dwenger and Delta come away winners. Over in 3A at Lebanon, Garin Catholic, who has a really strong basketball team, the great Pete Smith kind of started that program.
He started it from scratch, didn't he?
Won 2 state championships there and kind of set Garin Catholic in motion. And again, the 3A champion last year, Beech Grove, they beat Indian Creek. So
they're still hanging around, aren't they, with a whole different cast of characters.
Out of Lebanon, you got Garin Catholic, you got Beech Grove. Out of Washington, you got Scottsburg and North Davis, both really close games. Scottsburg beats your friend
Greensburg, Stacy Meyer,
48-46.
They've had probably about a 15-year run now of good teams down at Greensburg. But that Honda plant's definitely helped.
No, you kidding me? We can hire anybody. North Davies beats Gibson Southern then a game in the 40s, 48-44. So the people at the Hatchet House saw some really good basketball in 3A. Then we move over to 2A. We thought North Judson might have a chance. North Judson's had a great season, but Lewis Cass takes them out by 11, 62-51. And then Gary 21st Century takes out Westview 67-58. Gary 21st Century is really talented.
They're very good. That's just one of the Gary schools. We talked to some of the people. Lake Station's a Gary school. And now you've got, instead of Westside, Wirt, Wallace, Roosevelt, you now have 21st Century. You've got Bowman. You've got Lighthouse, all these charter schools that have taken over. And 21st Century is one of them. And it's a 2A school. And they've got some very talented players, and they're in for that's going to be a dynamite game at Logansport. That game with 21st Century against Blackhawk Christian.
Over at LaPel in 2A, we had Blackhawk beating Tipton by 21, 80-59, and then my old school, Wapahani, where I mean my first head coaching job was at Wapahani. Wapahani takes down Carroll of Florida by 23, 73-50. The head coach at Wapahani
Bodie's team
is Matt Luce. Matt Luce is Joey Luce's brother, who's the head coach at Tippy Valley. Joey was the head coach at Marion, at Richmond, at Jeffersonville. So, and the Luces are from Wapahani.
Yeah, they're Wapahani names, aren't they?
So Matt is back home and just doing a great job. Over at Greenfield, a school I know really well, Cecina takes down Park Tudor, and that's a really significant game because when I was over at Cecina, Park Tudor was loaded with all those players. Jaron Jackson, the kid guard that played at Xavier.
Blewett.
Yeah, Trayvon Blewett. They had great teams.
Yogi Farrell.
Yes, and Cecina could never get by him, but Cecina takes them down 45-42, and Park Heritage beats a really good Northeastern team by 10, 58-48. Down in the South, Southridge, Browntown Central, man, it's David Benner, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
He's
a Hanover boy.
He's won like 500 games down at Browntown.
He was at Hanover when I was coaching at Manchester.
64-49 against Forest Park, and then Linton takes out North Decatur big, 62-33.
Linton Stockton is number one.
Are they really?
They're number one.
So I
think the only team that's beaten them is a Kentucky team.
And we're going to go through then who plays who in a second. In 1A, Marquette Catholic, really good basketball team, beats Tri-County by 12. Couts beats Bethany Christian by 4. Over at Frankfort, the hot dog gym. I love that gym. I love Frankfurt's gym.
That's where they film Blue Chips for you young people that don't know any better.
Found Central beats Liberty Christian by 2. Liberty Christian is coached by one of my former players, Norman Anderson. Little D is the head coach at Liberty Christian. They lose by 2. Southwood, and we just talked about this. Southwood, where John Burris used to coach.
And our buddies.
And they take out Blue River by 19. At Martinsville, Indianapolis Lutheran takes down Bloomfield had a great year.
Bloomfield was number one.
Bloomfield had a great year.
was number one this year. And I think the only team that beat them was Linton Stockton.
Jacksonville beats Bethesda Christian by 2, a great game. Lagodi at Lagodi. Lagodi beats Northeast Du Bois by 24. Rock Creek Academy takes down New Washington by 25. So that leads us to who's playing now and where they're playing at. John, give us another question.
You want another question?
Yes, sir.
This is the follow-up to your steak and pizza question. Viewer wants to know, what is your overall favorite hospitality room that you have been in either as a coach or as a media member?
I'll answer this.
I know.
At Richmond High School.
Okay.
Richmond High School, when I was over at Anderson for all those 18 years, they always have the best hospitality room. Logan Sport's really good too. Logan Sport has a great setup. Richmond High School, to me, and the lady was Mrs. Lawrence. She ran the hospitality room. Of course, I coached at Richmond for 2 years as a JV coach, so her son was one of my managers, and she ran the hospitality room for like 30 years. It was the absolute best.
I'm going to jump states on you and go back into the dark ages. I'm going football, Plano East.
You guys
press box football. I tell you,
you probably had steaks in Texas. Are you kidding me?
Brisket. The only thing that would even come close was the hospitality rooms that they had at Texas Stadium when I was at Texas Stadium. Now I would take that back. The second, probably better than that, was the brisket we had at Odessa Permian.
Okay, so
how's that for one?
That's amazing.
I saw the Odessa. I was scouting, and when you scout in Texas, you get to sit in the press box. You don't sit in the top row of the visitors' bleachers. And I was it was a playoff game, and saw Odessa Permian play Midland Lee. It was a 4:00 ball game. We flew out there to watch a ball game, and then we flew to Houston and saw the night game in the Astrodome later on that day. But the press box at Odessa Permian, their hospitality was probably that and Plano East.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. We're just not talking Indiana here, guys.
So what I did was I just bailed. I was not committing myself to a hospitality room in Indiana.
I still
and it didn't say in Indiana.
Okay.
I still say Richmond High
Go
School.
with Richmond. I'll go with either Plano East or Odessa Permian.
All right, here we go. Class 4A at Michigan City, Fort Wayne, 21-4 versus Kokomo. Coached by the great John Peckinpah, who's 41-12.
And he
John
used to coach
was on at Noblesville.
And before that,
At
Indiana Tech.
Indiana, you're 200% right.
Because he was there when I was at Holy Cross.
So John Peckinpah played for Muncie Central, and
He had to guard who?
He had to guard Greg Olden, and I distinctly remember that state tournament game. He tried to take 7 charges against Olden because Peckinpah was like 6'3", and Olden was like 7'3".
Yeah.
So who you got? Fort Wayne against Kokomo. I got Kokomo, man.
I would say, do I need to? What can we match each other? Or do I have to take the other team?
Oh, you can take whoever. You can take Odessa North. I'm
gonna take Kokomo.
I got Kokomo. Who you got?
I'm taking Kokomo. And, Coach, I sent you a bunch of notes
I
yesterday.
know you did.
Okay.
I know.
Right. I was trying to help you
I
prepare
know.
for tonight.
I know. I'm good.
I'm taking the Wildcats.
All right.
For the colleges, we may go opposites just because.
A great. I mean, this is 53-2. 53-2. Penn at 27-1, and Hammond Central at 26. And I'm a PE major, and I can do that stuff that quick.
That's
Hammond Central
amazing.
26-1 at Michigan City. John, who you got?
I'm taking the Kingsmen.
I know you are.
I don't even think this game's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be +10.
I don't think there's. I think you're 100% right.
I kind of agree. From what I saw, I think Penn take 10 plus.
I'm taking Penn.
Yeah.
I think you're right. So somebody was telling me today that that near the end of the game, Marcus Burton got a technical down on the baseline, and Al Rhodes was screaming, "Marcus! Marcus! What are you doing?" And
we could hear him. We were in the one corner at an angle from the Penn bench, and even all the crowd noise, we could hear him screaming at Marcus.
Well, he hits those octaves. He's got a couple octaves that you know it's getting serious.
Serious.
all right, so at what a great gym, Newcastle. You played at Newcastle a million times. I played at Newcastle a million times.
When it was full, that's for sure.
So it should be full this Saturday. Brownsburg 21-4 versus Jennings County, and again, Steve Lynch 172-73 in his 10th year at Brownsburg. So I'll go first this time. I'm taking Brownsburg without question.
I will too.
Patrick?
I'm going to take Brownsburg.
I'm taking Brownsburg as well.
Man, there has been no differential.
Straight chalk.
Not yet.
Are we going to do the night game?
Well, no, because we don't know who's in. Well, yes, we do.
Yeah, well, from what our picks, we would know who we would pick.
Do we want to pick a winner?
Well, so let's get through 4A
Okay,
first.
let's do
and we'll go
4A.
back.
Well,
Right.
put Ben Davis down.
Ben Davis, Bloomington North, Ben Davis.
I'm taking Ben Davis.
Ben Davis. So at
At
4A,
at the top, let's just say we've got Penn and Kokomo.
at 4A, we got Penn and Kokomo. I'm going with Penn.
I'm taking Penn. I just think that you look at their backcourt. This is a backcourt that averages 55 points a game.
Yeah, Joe Smith.
And Joe Smith and
Joey
Garwood. Yeah, and I don't think
Jimmy Chitwood.
Yeah. I don't think Kokomo has an answer. I know you got the big man in the middle, but I just don't think Kokomo has an answer for those 3 guards.
I agree.
Patrick?
Now don't.
Patrick Lee.
I'm gonna take Kokomo just to be different but I really think I was gonna mention the Hall of Fame got lucky back in December if you think about it because they've got a chance to have 2 rematches.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But I really think Penn's going to win, but I'm going to take Kokomo just to be different.
And as a side note, Josh Katete, the forward for Penn, he signed with the Air Force Academy today.
Is that right?
He committed to the Air Force Academy.
Did he play Friday night? His name was not in the box score.
Yeah, he did not score, but he did play.
Okay,
he got in some foul trouble, had to sit a lot, but he didn't score.
All right, so Ben Davis against Brownsburg. I'm going with Ben Davis. But I could see Brownsburg too. I don't think it's 100%. I'm going with what Scotty King says. Ben Davis, man. Who you got, John?
I feel the same way. I got to go with Ben Davis until they prove me wrong. They're undefeated. They're number 1.
What do you got?
I'm going to be the stinker. I'm going to pick Brownsburg.
All right.
Okay.
You're the stinker.
That's me.
I forgot to tell you we're throwing $10 a game on these.
Of course we are.
All right, at Elkhart.
Checks in the mail.
I got it.
At Elkhart, guys, 3A. So who's working these? You are?
That's me.
Okay, so Delta at John Glenn. I say who cares, to be honest with you, but we got to pick one.
It's a 1-point game.
We got to pick one.
It's a 1-point game. I'm going to take John Glenn.
I'm going to take John because I like Travis Hanna.
I like Travis Hanna, and I think Glenn's on a roll right now. They're going to be kind of tough to stop.
But of all these games that the 4A games, there's nothing that's going to be any closer. The Delta Glenn game is a toss-up.
It is.
And so the Northwood Dwenger game is not.
It could be a 20-point game.
Is not. I'm taking Northwood.
So we got Northwood and Glenn in the final.
So you're taking Northwood.
I'm taking Northwood as well, even though I think Dwenger will stick around for a while just because of their schedule in that summit. That summit conference is pretty good, but I will still take Northwood.
All right, so Glenn and Northwood in the final. In the final, obviously I'm going Northwood.
I'm taking Northwood.
I'm taking Glenn. I really think Travis Hanna will have a game plan, and the way they're playing right now, he doesn't want to have his son's career end at the semistate. I'm going to take Glenn in the upset.
Well, I got some good news and bad news for you. Your son's career is going to end at some point in time.
But not this
and,
week.
And Brenner is good, and the two Roush boys are really good.
Are good, too.
Really
got
good.
3. Yes,
they
sure do.
In the South, Scottsburg, North Davies.
That's the ticket because those are 2 good games coming up.
So, I mean, it's North Davies by 1.
It's a toss-up, yep.
Toss-up.
And North Davies, the only thing I haven't seen Scottsburg play. The thing I've learned about Scottsburg, they've got a bunch of transfers. They got a kid from Southwestern. They got 2 kids from Madison. They got a kid from Silver Creek. They've got the transfer portal working really well.
Well, their NIL budget's pretty good.
Evidently, somebody's done something.
Okay,
I'm going to take Scottsburg.
All right, John.
I'm taking North Davies.
Okay.
And they've jumped from 1A to 3A, and they've done just fine.
They've done just great.
I'm going with Scottsburg too, and John's going with North Davies. Okay, the second game, Guerin Catholic, Beech Grove. Man, again, Guerin Catholic's supposed to win by 4. So in honor of Pete Smith, I'm going with GC.
Okay.
Who you got?
I will too.
Who you got?
I'm taking Beech Grove.
All right, Beech Grove.
State runner-up from a year ago, and they're back here and a chance again.
All right, so you got different teams. Who's going to win that game? You've got North Davies and Beech Grove.
I'm taking North Davies in the title game.
Okay.
Who do you got?
I'm going to take Guerin Catholic.
I'm going with GC in the finals.
Okay. So whoever wins that bottom game is going to win.
Class 2A, Gary 21st Century. If they don't win, you can buy a house from them. Okay, 21st Century.
Stop it.
If they don't win, they're selling homes. Against Fort Wayne Blackhawk, Matt Roth is a really good coach. I'll tell you that much at Blackhawk. Larry Upshaw he's doing great things at Gary 21st. Blackhawk's supposed to win by 6. Who you got?
I'm going with Blackhawk.
Okay. John?
I'm going with Gary 21st. I think they're too athletic.
I'm going with G21. I'm going with G21. So, and you know who I'm going with, the Wapahani Lewis Cass.
Yeah, I think
Matty
Lewis Cass is happy to be there.
Wapahani?
I'm taking Wapahani. I talked to my brother-in-law yesterday who was at that Carroll Flora game, very impressed with Wapahani. So I'm going to take Wapahani.
So I'm taking Wapahani in the
what you
final.
got's number 3 versus number 4 right there.
Wow, that is a good game.
So the night game, Blackhawk and Wapahani. Blackhawk's 3, Wapahani's 4.
I'm taking Wapahani in the championship. Who do you got?
I'm going to take Blackhawk.
Okay, Pat's got Blackhawk. Who you got?
I'm taking Wapahani.
John and Ronnie got Wapahani. Thanks, John. Thanks for taking care
ganging
of
up on me.
Yeah, well. You can't pronounce a Glenn kid's name right. Sorry, I got to go against you.
I'm still going to have to.
What's the kid's name? What's the kid's name again?
Chaparrilli.
Chaparrilli.
I'm going to have to do Hooked on Phonics.
Okay, say this again. Chaparrilli.
That sounds like sarsaparilla.
Chaparrilli.
There you go. Just think of it that way. There
Just
you go.
think of that way.
And I will listen and make sure because I'm starting after you guys. So
Southport.
Brownstown, and Brownstown.
Lynn Stockton's pretty good though, right?
Yeah.
Did you say they're number 1?
It'll be number 1 versus number 2, but I just like Brownstown.
I like Linton Stockton.
Go with
Brownstown. I'm going with Linton Stockton.
Like I said, they're undefeated in Indiana.
That's right.
It's a team from, I think, Owensboro is the only one that's beat them.
At Lafayette, Jeff, man. And I'm not going to say this. I want to say this, but I'm not going to say it. Southward against Fountain Central. Anytime you get to a semi-state, man, that's special. That's really, really special.
I'm going with Southwood.
So am I.
Southwood.
I'm taking
Now, here's
Southwood.
what's interesting. In the AP poll, Fountain Central's number 2, but the Sagarin rating has them back at number 20 with the strength of schedule.
I'm going with Southwood too.
Okay.
I'm going with Southwood too. Marquette Catholic against Couts. Again, I want to say something, but I'm not, because anytime you get to the semi-state, what a special time for the town. Right?
I'm taking Michigan City Marquette.
I am as well. I'm going to
I
take
am
Marquette.
too.
Yeah, I am.
I am
And I'm
too.
going to take them to win the whole thing.
I am too.
Me too.
I'm going with
I
Marquette
saw
to
them
win
play
the whole
last
thing.
year before, and they're good.
Well, we played them 2 years ago.
Yes, they're
and
good.
And
And they've got 12. They've got 22 seniors this year.
They're very. I mean, Ray Tarnow is a really, really good fundamental basketball coach, and so I'm going to take them at the Hatchet House. Lutheran against
That
Lagodi.
should be a good game. You got number 1 versus number 4.
Lagodi by 3. That's what
I know.
That's what we're saying.
I'm going to take Lutheran
I'm taking Lagodi.
just because.
I like Lagodi, and as you know how Drew pronounces
Right.
Lagodi.
I'm going to take
taking
Lutheran
Lagodi.
just because
I'm
they're
taking a cough
Indianapolis.
drop. Anybody got a cough drop?
Just
I
take a
didn't-
drink.
Just can't stop coughing.
Have a drink.
I'm going with Lutheran.
So no karaoke after we're finished?
I didn't say that. I'm going with Lutheran. I get a cough drop in me, I'm good.
Okay.
Jacksonville, Rock Creek Academy. You got to go. Oh, man, they got Rock Creek winning this game.
I know it.
Rock Creek is 11-14.
I know.
Jacksonville 18-9.
I know.
So I'd like to see, and I don't have it in front of
It
me, but I'd
doesn't-
love to see the strength of schedule. on
It
this
doesn't
one.
matter. That's why you got the numbers the way they are.
I'd
But
love to see the
Jacksonville
strength
beat
schedule.
Bethesda Christian, who was number 6.
Sagarin ratings. Jacksonville is
21.
21st.
Yep, and Rock Creek 17.
So
I'll take Rock Creek, and I'm gonna take whoever wins the top game is gonna win. So I'm gonna take, since I picked Lutheran,
yeah,
I'm gonna put
that's
Lutheran.
exactly what I'm doing too. So there you have the semi-states in the state of Indiana. There are 8 of them.
And nobody, our value doesn't matter.
Well, it does matter because
We have 10 minutes, and we haven't
but
even
it does
been to
matter.
college.
Stop. It does matter because
8
you
minutes.
and me spent
a lot of time.
50 years in high school coaching.
That's true.
So we should
We
know.
should have a little value,
We should know a little bit
a
about
little
something.
bit, I think.
Now, and we'll see.
We'll go with that.
We'll see.
I appreciate that.
As long as you know how to pronounce the Glenn kid's name on Saturday.
Hey.
That's what I'm working
Hey.
on.
Another question.
One more. This is a golf question, believe it or not.
Tiger Woods.
You betcha.
No.
Will he play in the Masters next month?
Yes.
And why?
Just because it's the Masters, even if he just limps around, and he may not make the cut, but he'll play. And I think he'll play one more tournament before that too, which means he'll have to play here in the next 2 weeks.
I think he'll play because he knows. I mean, he's a great golfer. He's coming off of some tremendous injuries. He knows that people want to see him play, and whatever tee box he tees off of, whatever green he leaves, those crowds just give him ovation after ovation.
And he'll be there, and he may not make the cut, but he'll play.
He'll play.
Well, okay.
He'll play.
Because a lot of people are saying, with all the ups and downs there at Augusta, that could
He'll
really
play.
bother his back and his knees.
Yeah,
so.
it will. It will. That's why he probably won't make the cut.
All right, next question. You got one more, I believe.
I do have one more, and this involves you guys' thoughts on the number 1 seeds in the men and women's NCAA tournament.
Well, I can talk about the men's. Do you have the women's?
I've got him here someplace. Yes, I
All right,
sure
I'm going to talk about the men's. Alabama, really good basketball team, really talented. Nate Oates does a great job of coaching them. I'm still kind of stung by the Brandon Miller deal, the fact that he's playing and some of the things that went on with their program. But if you're talking about a pure basketball team, they definitely deserve a number 1 seed in the South. Purdue, the number 1 seed in the East, I like that. I think Purdue did what they had to do. They won the Big Ten. They won the Big Ten outright. They won the Big Ten tournaments. They got a player that you got to stop. I think they went through a little bit of a lull, maybe three quarters through the season, but I thought they played well in the Big Ten tournament. I thought Penn State played well too, and the reason Penn State is in the tournament is because they played well, because Penn State leapfrogged Rutgers and they leapfrogged Michigan.
And maybe even Wisconsin.
Yes, and so
if they would have been out early, they would be in the NIT.
And hats off to Micah Shrewsbury, the Indianapolis Cathedral grad,
Right.
who has coached everywhere.
Played at Hanover.
He's coached everywhere.
And I remind my wife all the time about how he and I used to stand out on the track at Adams when he'd bring his IUSB team over to run around the track at Adams, and I'd have gym class, and we'd stand out there and talk.
I mean, Micah's persevered. Micah has done all of the coaching.
Yep, he sure has.
Houston with Kelvin Sampson had some tragedy in his life. His sister passed away, I believe, and he's been going through some tough times. But the Cougars are 31-3, man. You can't take that away from them. So I think Houston definitely deserves that number 1 seed. Kansas, 27-7. Bill Self doesn't coach in the tournaments. They get beat by Texas. But Kansas is always going to be good.
But they won the league.
Yes.
They won the league.
Yeah.
And how many of those, you just mentioned 4 number 1s. Which one of them won their conference tournament?
Purdue.
Only one of them won it.
Exactly.
Purdue there's no style points with Purdue, that's for sure.
Well, no, Purdue.
They don't win pretty.
Well, no, Purdue's got an aviation school.
They just win.
They got an aviation school.
But the other 3 got beat. They got beat. Like you said, Texas is going to be a very strong number 2.
They are.
And so forth.
All right, give me the girls.
The women, it's going to be the South Carolina Invitational. Here's, for example, at South Carolina, you've got South Carolina's 1. Maryland, with the Reynolds girl coming off the bench, is 2. Notre Dame is 3. UCLA is 4. Notre Dame got the worst possible situation they could have, being a 3 seed and having to come through South Carolina. IU's women are the number 1 seed.
Congratulations for
They're
Terry Moran.
They're a number 1 seed. You've got IU, Utah, LSU, Villanova in the IU bracket. Stanford is always a staple out west.
It's a perennial.
They're a number 1 seed. Iowa, keep track of Iowa. Iowa is the team that beat IU twice in the season and so forth. Duke is a 3 seed. Texas, that's a very strong regional there with Stanford. The one that surprised me, I haven't paid enough attention. Virginia Tech this year is a 1 seed with UConn as a 2, Ohio State and Tennessee. So you've got 3 Big Ten teams in that top 16.
So tell me, talk to me about UConn now. UConn has always been a staple.
And they've got, 4 girls hurt? They've got 4 girls hurt.
Injuries?
This may be, ACLs and all kinds of stuff. This might be one of his best efforts coaching, putting them in a position where they are. So that's where we are. The NIT, you've got the first 4 out. You've got Oklahoma State, Oregon, Rutgers, and Clemson that are the 1 seeds. They all host. And then you start looking at Sam Houston, North Texas, Washington State, Liberty, Wisconsin, Florida, Colorado, New Mexico, Cincinnati, Michigan, Vanderbilt, UAB are like the top 16 in that.
Okay, so give me your philosophy and your thought process of North Carolina not accepting the bid to the NIT.
I don't blame them. I think they've got an old team, and they don't think anything productive is going to happen out of it. It's like, let's pack it up, let's go home. I don't have a problem with it at all. I'm surprised more teams don't do that.
So has the CBIT, and I only say that, and I only say that because Detroit did not get an invitation, and Antoine Davis was 3 points short of breaking Pete Maravich's record, and I'm not so sure if I just wouldn't have put them in. Just to maybe give him a chance to do that.
And everybody's going to have a saying, because Maravich did that in 3 years, played 80-some ball games.
And there would have been an asterisk anyway.
Right. And here Davis plays 4 seasons and plays 150 or 60 ball games. He plays 60 more ball games.
Well, so we have a great week ahead of us. We have high school semi-states. We have NCAA starting. It's the best time of year.
Fun. This is a great week.
And next week
this is when you call in sick on Thursday and Friday.
Well, I told you what I'm going to do.
Yes,
Next week we'll have a guest and we'll go over all these games.
So if there's a run on frozen peas at the grocery store, we'll know what's going on.
Frozen peas and carrots. I'm going to get some carrots too.
Oh.
Anyway, John, you're
John,
the
please,
absolute best.
Thank
John,
you, people.
you're the best.
We're getting right. Bar Louie bringing us food.
Bar Louie is the
They've done
absolute
great.
best.
We appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for putting up with us tonight.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for coming in town. And I gave you the plug about the aviation school, by the way. All right. Patrick, I'll see you next week. You're the best, brother.
We'll get him. I'll be at Elkhart all weekend on Saturday for the semistate. John will be at Michigan City for the semistate.
I think I'll be at Michigan City. I'll be at Grace Wednesday and Thursday to do a tournament over at Grace in the NAIA.
Yes.
So we're busy, and that's the way we like it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week.
Do you remember the 21st night of September?